Hello.
I was just talking to young Evans.
Oh,
You
yeah?
look fucking great. Why are you doing your hair?
Because it feels like it needs it. I'm looking at yours and yours looks better.
No, well, mine's filthy. I actually ran my fingers through my hair, you know, before. It wasn't before today. It was before just now.
You know what? I give me 10 seconds. I'm feeling just a little bit naked. Hold on.
He's going to get a glass of.
That's exactly. You know him. That's exactly what he's going to do.
I fucking will do. Yeah. Oh, who are you?
I am a longtime friend of Danny's, radio guy. I've done radio for like 30 years.
All right. Well, pleased to meet you.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor to meet you.
Okay.
Are you okay if we talk about things other than music some today?
You talk about anything you want. How long are we doing?
That is totally up to you.
Shall we make a start?
Yeah. So Raj,
everybody, welcome to Woman's Hour. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. What?
yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know how I ended up with this, but it's coconut water and vodka.
Oh.
I would have preferred a nice fruity Cabernet, but we'll be fine.
Well, mine is just standard Puy Fuisse. So
cheers. So here's to last week's announcement. Your tour's been rescheduled, eh?
Mm-hmm. Look, you've got Reg, or is it Rog, hanging on the fucking wall?
I do.
Yeah, nice one, son. And the old Bill Graham poster from is that Oakland?
Yeah.
Oakland.
Those are standard fare. I love that. I love the Oakland poster. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right.
So somehow, you know, the good news, bad news, somehow Phoenix kind of got left out. So I'm going to have to come and bother you out there.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Listen, I haven't even looked at it.
Yeah.
No.
It's a long ways away.
It's a long way away. Maybe we can figure something out.
I would love that. I would love that.
Me too.
So you're, where are you now? This is the same studio I've been seeing for the last year, it looks like.
I'm in Bridgehampton, New York.
And have you ever left? Did you go to the city ever since?
Very rarely since COVID, so which is like a year and a bit now. So, yeah, you know, occasionally you have to, don't you? You know, dermatologist, right? When you get skin cancer.
Right.
Dentist when your fucking teeth fall out, right? Oh, you've still got some. I love that. Court, you have to go to court sometimes, obviously, when you get sued.
So what's the current environment in New York now? I mean, in Phoenix, which is a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word, red?
It's the Wild West.
Particularly your noses. Your noses are red.
It's like there's a lot of things are open and a lot of things aren't.
Yeah.
You know, it's all depending on various people, but a lot of things that are open doesn't seem to help the overall, you know, cure of what's happening. I mean, it's Groundhog Day here every day for us.
Okay. Why are you talking to me about this? I don't want to talk about this, do you?
What about some of the news that took place over the weekend?
We don't have news here. We're on the East Coast.
Ah.
Oh, news.
News. Yeah.
Hey, Danny, just give me a break, all right? I'm feeling playful. I can't fucking help it, you know. It's me. What can I tell you?
I like playful.
I don't want to talk about COVID, really.
Okay.
I mean, I can, and if you want me to, I can get so fucking angry about Big Pharma and all the Western governments and how they don't give a fuck about all the poor people dying in the Southern Hemisphere and you know, anywhere east of Delhi. Actually, Delhi as well, they don't really give a shit either. So, but you know, it's your birthday, isn't it? Isn't that why I'm calling?
It's close.
All right.
You know, Raj, really more than anything, we wanted to see you and have a word. You know, I mean, talking about COVID, I mean, there's obviously many other things. Hey, how about this little music business news? Did you see our friend Pat Leonard sold his publishing?
Did he? No. Funnily enough, I heard from him yesterday. In fact, I've been in quite close contact with Pat over the last few weeks. Yeah.
For anybody listening, Pat Leonard produced what, one album with you or two?
I don't know, one or two.
Yeah, something like that.
Amused to Death was our magnus opus, which we made with our two very good friends, Nick Griffiths and James Guthrie, and one or two musicians as well, Jeff Beck for starters. How lucky am I that I once made a record with Jeff Beck?
How about that?
Right. Most people, all they've done is tinker with cars, unless you're a lady, obviously. And then who knows what you've might or might not have tinkered with. We'll never know, will we? And we don't want to know, do we?
No.
I did go to his house once.
It's fun, huh?
Oh, it's fucking amazing. Yeah, it's in Kent or somewhere. It's somewhere in the south of England. And
East Sussex.
East Sussex, yeah. And when you go in, you're fairly sure there's no electricity. There is, of course, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to turn an amp on. Not that I don't think he really plays music very much. When he's in the garage all the time with tinkering the car.
When I was there, the thing that he wanted to show me more than anything else besides the garage is how he put together that old house piece by piece.
Yeah.
He's very proud of that. I mean, he can do anything, that guy.
Yeah.
I can't use a screwdriver.
I'm quite good with screwdrivers. I know.
The orange ones?
I don't mind the color. I'm colorblind when it comes to screwdrivers.
That's not a screwdriver.
Oh, that's those sorts of screwdrivers. Yeah. Now I get it now. Yeah. That's funny.
Roger, what are your hobbies beyond music? I know you write poetry. I mean, you're a voracious reader.
I don't write poetry as a hobby. I write poetry for a living.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not the hobby.
I still
apologize.
my shoulder up. So I had shoulder surgery 2.5 weeks ago. I had a big bone spur and I sort of mildly torn rotator cuff and a lot of tendonitis and shit in there. So I had it all gone into. So now I have my first appointment with sort of remedial physiotherapy tomorrow at lunchtime for an assessment. And what it means, unfortunately, is I'm going to have to spend quite a lot of time in a gym or whatever, working my way slowly back to being able to throw a decent right hook. Otherwise, how am I going to fight off the women?
Right?
Get away from me. You know what it's like, Danny, right?
I used to.
No, so yeah, I don't really have hobbies. I mean, I love walking around. My missus and I, if the sun's out like it was today, we go out. And one of the good things about COVID is, in my situation anyways, it means I've been in the same place solidly. I haven't gone anywhere. No tours, no going to the studio, no this, no that. What it means is that every day you get to go outside and you almost know every blade of grass. And, oh my God, look, what look, the buds are coming out on the that magnolia. We've got weird dwarf magnolias just outside this window here, and they come out and they flower for about 6-7 days, and then boom, it's over for another year. But you look forward to that moment when it happens again. And just seeing things bursting into bloom is amazing. And in a few more weeks, we'll be back to eating everything from the garden.
Hmm.
That's very.
Except for crane flies, obviously, and slugs. We don't like slugs, and we have a few slugs. We have quite a lot of weird critters because we don't put any chemicals on it, you know. And what's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it interesting that people do put chemicals on it all, not for themselves or for people who like to garden or because you can grow more food. They do it to make more profit, but they actually they're destroying Monsanto, who are the, you know, they're the best at it. But it's not just, you know, them, it's all the people who collude with them, like Bill Gates, for instance, you'd think he was a cross between Mother Teresa and Father fucking Christmas, the way people look up to him, but he ain't. You know, he's not. He isn't. He's a big advocate of big agri and big farmer and big all the rest of them. He's a huge support. He just pretends he's not, which I think's not laudable.
Yeah.
But what is laudable is the little people who you never hear. There's a wonderful Indian woman I was hearing talking about it, talking about how the small farmers, the guys who are farming 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 acres of land, or less, even less, they are the ones who are protecting the seeds that are resistant to everything, that haven't been corrupted by Monsanto, so that they can make an extra, you know, X number of dollars per acre by cramming the people of the world with poison, which is what you end up with when you grow food like that. See, you set me off. All I was doing was talking about going out and walking in the garden with the dog.
Well, you're inspiring. You know, I've seen you do a lot of interviews, and I honestly, I don't want to make you angry, but I think you've got a pretty rockin' worldview.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, what can we do to make a difference?
Oh, encourage our children to develop feelings that are real, really, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's only through the successive generations. So if we want to be grown up about things, and if we want successive generations to be grown up, we have to wrest their attention as much as we can away from this, you know, away from mainstream media, but also away from that. Yeah. It's terrifying what that does to people.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's
absolutely terrifying.
And depression right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because it stops people talking to one. It stops you talking to anybody about anything that isn't on there. And you go, what are you talking about? I'm not interested in that. So if we can encourage people, even to go in the garden and go, oh, fuck me, look at that blossom opening. Well, that's kind of interesting. How weird to get to become interested in the whole idea that there's something going on here that is magical. But to involve ourselves in it, we need to be educated. We need to know what the fuck it is that's going on, even faintly, you know, even faintly to know about it. And unfortunately, the powers that be, the Zuckerbergs and Gateses and the, you know, and the Bezoses of this world, they don't want us to be educated. They want us to just about be able to drive a van and piss in a fucking bottle, so we don't stop working even for 2 minutes. Yeah. That's all they want. They don't want us to know anything about anything. They want us to, particularly, they don't want us to know about history and those kind of things, you know, and the social sciences. That is absolutely verboten. But also, they don't really want us to know about fishing, you know, or picnicking, or camping, or walking, or climbing, or anything. They just want us to be just knowledgeable enough so we can go up in the fucking tube and go to work, you know, and get home, and just have enough knowledge just to be able to get ourselves in debt so we're slaves for the rest of our life. But apart from that, they would much prefer that we stay completely ignorant about absolutely everything. And they're doing a fucking good job, because almost everybody is. almost complete. I
Yeah.
find I'm really well read these days. Well, I always expected to be to be a kind of oik, you know, an illiterate oik. But it turns out, even with my small amount of delving, I'm actually fairly well educated. Yeah, which is, well, it doesn't really matter. But imagine, you know, I could say even here, or particularly if we're talking to somebody who lives in the Southwest, right? As Danny does. I don't know where you live.
He's here too.
You're there too. You live in the Southwest. Imagine being alive and not having read Cormac McCarthy. I mean, you go, well, hang on, because Cormac McCarthy should be in every fucking school in the country. This is one of the great pillars of modern American literature. Look, he's writing the name down now.
Yeah,
You're goddamn right I am.
Right, well, okay. Well, you know, okay, so if you don't know about Cormac McCarthy, how the fuck do you expect anybody else to? But Cormac McCarthy is hugely important, you know. So, but the first thing that you need to do is just read one book, and then you see if you're sucked in or not, you know, or just read the first 2 pages of All the Pretty Horses, and you'll either be sucked in or you won't. But you will, I know you will.
All Excess with Danny Zalesko and Tim Richards.
You know, I wrote a poem about McCartney. McCarthy, not McCartney. That was a Freudian slip. I did actually write a poem about McCarthy. What's his name? McCartney.
Right.
I wrote a poem about Paul. Right. I'll tell you that one first. Okay. It goes like this, if I can remember. Sometimes when I'm writing and I get a good idea, a thought occurs that's frightening. A small voice in my ear says, "It's probably not you, mate. You've been at this for hours. It's probably Paul McCartney using telepathic powers."
I love it.
That is great.
I love it.
I'm going to put that in my memoir. I'm writing a memoir, right? And I think I should put that in case Paul buys my memoir, which he will, because it's going to be I know you've just got a book out. Thanks.
I do.
Mine won't have any photos, but it'll have more jokes. I promise you that.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
know, one of my favorites was the one you did. I still remember it, and I bet I have it somewhere, but that one you did with a lady that was asking you to come to some charity thing or something like that, and you wrote her back the most hysterical reply of, you somehow told her you were going to come, and by the end of it, you talked yourself out of it. I got to find it. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember that, but I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm sure it did happen. Anyway,
yeah.
Cormac McCarthy, I wrote him a poem, and I'll just tell you the first verse because I wrote it, and it's called "Upon Reading All the Pretty Horses for the First Time." There is a magic in some books that sucks a man into connections with the spirits hard to touch that join him to his kind. A man will eke the reading out, guarded like a canteen in the desert heat. But sometimes a man will eke the reading out, guarded like a canteen in the desert heat, but sometimes needs must drink, and then the final drop falls sweet, the last page turns the end. I thought there was a bit more to it than that, but it's good anyway.
That's
brilliant.
It sort of tells you everything you know. The spirit's hard to touch that join him to his kind. No, that's it. It's as short as that.
Well,
I hate
Anyway,
to be ignorant, but is Cormac still alive?
As far as I know, yeah.
Will he ever?
You will know him because the films they've made from his novels. They did make All the Pretty Horses, but the one that most people know is No Country for Old Men, which is a recent movie about.
I just watched that again.
A drug deal gone wrong.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a great movie unless you've read the book, because some of the dialogue between the cop who is who plays the cop in the film? I'm so bad with names.
I
It'll
can
come back
picture
to
him,
me.
I can't.
I can see his face, but I can't.
Same.
Anyway, what else?
We were recently on a Zoom with Fiona Prine, and your name came up.
Yeah. Oh, how is Fiona?
She loves you.
Well, I love her, obviously, and I'm
She
I'm
is.
focused on October the 3rd as the big day, I gather.
Yeah.
God knows what I'm going to be doing, or if I'm going to be doing anything, or whether, or whatever, or what travel will be like, or I've no idea. But sorry, I interrupted.
Do you know what's really admirable about Fiona is the dignity in the class that she's dealt with her husband being ripped out of her life,
Right.
and her ability to vocalize about it and talk about it without freaking out. And then she freaks out a little bit, but it's been a really tough time for her. I mean, because it wasn't just a husband, it was also John and our friend.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way she does. I mean, I think of him daily. You must do the same. I mean, you got to look at his clock all the time.
Yeah, I do have to look at his clock every time I go near the bar. Yeah.
I liked your cover of Paradise.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one I've covered more, obviously, is Hello in there. But Fearless. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Paradise. Yeah. Yeah. Paradise is such a beautiful song. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I realized that that's not where he's from, that his dad's from Muhlenberg County, but he was born and bred in Chicago and blah, blah, but that they used to go back there. His parents used to take him back to Muhlenberg County every summer for a week or two or whatever, even though empty pop bottles is all they would kill. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We could have used him around a few more years.
Yeah.
We sure as shit could. Yeah.
And he could have too. I mean, he loved it. And the amazing thing about John was it took so long for enough people to catch on for him too to receive some of the rewards of working so hard all those decades at his craft and touring and all that. And in those last 5 to 10 years, he started to really get there with it. And he was one of those guys, he never bragged about it. He never went on his way to say anything to me about it. But every now and then it would come out when he bought his Porsche. And he calls me up, he goes, I bought a Porsche. And it's like, he would have never done anything like that. I think they ended up giving it to Sturgill Simpson. What a lucky bloke.
But didn't John once buy a car? I don't know, something else, like another fancy car, a Cadillac or a Bentley or something, and just leave it in the driveway. That was one of the things I heard. No, you don't know.
Right. I don't remember him doing that.
I love the story though.
But I wouldn't put it past him.
No, neither would I.
So Roger,
what else you got there, Tim? I see you have questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. It took me 47 years of my life to get to see you perform live. And I was at the Glendale show on June 14th of 2017. And as a 30-year radio person, you can imagine I've seen a lot of concerts in my life. But when people ask me now, and ever since then, what's the best show you've ever seen in your life? I said Roger Waters. So thank you for being awesome.
You're welcome. I'm trying to think. 2017, was that Us and Them? That was the beginning of Us and Them. Yeah.
And two things. When the stage itself, the way it was brilliant, but the thing that came out of the middle of it.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That thing, we call that Battersea Power Station.
Yeah. I was in it.
Yeah. Oh, you good. You were one of those people I talked to down the middle because you can't see fuck all from where you are.
It was.
but you're in it. And most of the people who are in it just went, I don't care. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, well, they all want to be in the center to begin with, no matter what. But
well, it was just, I mean, how did it come about? It came about because I suddenly thought, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Which I always do about every show that I've ever put on. And I thought of all kinds of things before we did that show. And then, you know, one day I thought, wow, what if we, Battersea Power Station, what, it's so iconic, that thing, because, you know, it's the power station that's on the Animals album cover. So it's one with the pig floating between the chimneys and the whatever. We could make chimneys, and then we could do the West with rag, you know, just throw screens up, and if we could get the projectors to work properly and everything be in sync and whatever, it could be astonishing to make that thing kind of come out of nowhere in the middle of the arena. Would be quite a conjuring trick to pull off, and it was, but it was also very moving, you know, in its own way. And then slowly we removed it through the rest of the show until it was completely gone before we got to the end. But
what a magic show!
It was pretty cool.
It was incredible.
It was cool.
It was
well, you know, the new show I'm working on, we're going to actually do it in the round. And so I've done a lot of work on it with Sean Evans and the rest of the team already.
Is it all the same guys that you did the last show with, visually?
Yeah. All the same guys, period.
Yeah, everything.
Everybody, you know.
Singers.
Well, I don't mind telling you this. We were supposed to start on July the something or other, July the 9th or something, 2020. All right, so that's over a year ago. That's when we were supposed to do the tour, and then we were supposed to start in September this year, and now we're supposed to start on July the 6th, I think the date is, next year. So when COVID came, we cancelled at pretty short notice.
Yeah.
So all those people were fucked, except my people sort of weren't, because I decided to pay them anyway.
God, for all this time.
Well, it was going to be up to Christmas. I'm still, actually, this is the crew. The band is a different amount. I'm paying them as well, but the crew, they didn't. There's nothing, obviously. These are circus fucking people. There's nothing in their contract that, oh, you cancel because go fuck them. Well, these are circus people. They're a bit like, we're talking about agriculture. They're not like itinerant laborers. They're skilled people, but it is seasonal, and they do work from show to show to show to show. So when we cancelled, I decided to give them 60% of whatever they would have made in the whole show.
That's amazing.
Because it's a lot of money. And just say, I'm going to start paying you now, and it'll go on to Christmas, which was last. And it's actually, I've extended it, so whatever. But will they be the same fucking people? You bet they will. You bet they fucking will. A, because I love them all, and yeah. I would, and I would, but also B, because they're unbelievably loyal, you know, as well.
Yeah.
And so we are. You know, this is the thing I don't boast about a lot, but I boast about this, and this is, and it is this. And I think I'm sure there are others like me in rock and roll, but I've met a lot who aren't. Yeah. I make an absolute point of knowing the name of every single person in the crew when I go on the road.
That's huge.
So the last, us and them, when we were traveling all around, there's 185 people. Well, that's an actual effort, obviously. Not with the 60 or so that I know, because I've known them for fucking ever and they're first name sober. But I actually have Polaroid pictures, and I sit and learn them, so that when I'm walking around, I can go, hey Bob, how are you? How are you? Is everything all right? Or what? And they go, fucking hell, he knows my name, you know. And
That's
yeah, I do, because I think it's really important. And I love the feeling of being out on the road with those people, with my crew, is quite is a great feeling, and knowing that everybody knows that you value them, and I do value them. These are amazing people. I mean, hardworking. Fucking hell! It's amazing the work people have to do on a rock and roll show. You
They
know,
give everything up to be
they
there, and
give everything. Oh,
it's more than the money. I mean, the money, of course, is nice, and that's what you do for it. But you guys have such a family feeling out there on the road. I mean, everybody's included in everything. Nobody gets left out of anything when, you know, good or major that's going on when time permits, of course.
yeah.
And it really shows. I mean, it's rare because, look, a lot of stars love their crews and their bands and all that. I don't know too many of them.
Well, let's not go.
They do, but you're doing it.
Let's not start throwing mud at Madonna. You know what you're like, Danny, once you get fucking started. I had one bloke in my crew, and I'm mentioning no names, who once told me one day, he said he worked, and he was a stagehand, and he worked. So he was at the side of the steps. She walked up every time she went and did a show and walked down again for 12 years. And she never even looked at him, ever, once.
That's insane.
Well, yeah, it is insane in a way, but it's, you know, people get an overinflated fucking idea of who they are.
Yeah.
They really do. And I don't mean to pick Madge out especially, but fuck her, you know what I mean? No. Another enemy. Just what I need now is another enemy. But she was always an enemy, because she did go and sing. And no, she didn't sing. Yes, she did at Eurovision in Tel Aviv, after I very politely asked her not to cross the picket line and go and play in Israel. And she went, fuck you, I'm going. There's a few quid in it, more than a few quid, a lot of quid. The Israelis, I'll give them that, they pay them a lot of money to go there and whitewash their racist apartheid regime that is Israel. Madge, right?
Here's a naive question for you.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to play a show in Israel?
What would it take for them to end the fucking occupation and start giving people human rights? Yeah. Just simple. It's quite simple. Just abide by international law and the 4th Geneva Convention. All right. Stop committing genocide. I'll be back in a fucking heartbeat. It's not that hard.
Right?
Yeah.
So many people I know have the wrong idea about your stance on this. They think you hate Jews. And I know you don't. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Yeah, of course it is. It's the only weapon that the Israeli government have. And there are a number in Israel as well. There are a number of raging racist fascist swine who happen to also be Jewish. But it's, their Judaism has nothing to do with what I might feel about them.
No,
There's raging racist fascist swine everywhere. They can be Christian, Muslim. I don't care about people's religions. I do care about people who do not care about fundamental human rights. My platform is small. It is the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from 1948 in Paris. Okay, some say written by Eleanor Roosevelt after the death of FDR. Who knows? Certainly, I believe she had a part in it all. But it was written. All 30 articles are very pertinent. They talk about every man, woman, and child on this earth deserves the right to life, the right to shelter, the right to an adequate supply of food, and the right to health care, and the right to education. Those are the basic fundamental human rights. Freedom, life. The right to life is the most fundamental one. Israeli government doesn't care. It cares about it if you're a Jewish Israeli. It doesn't care about it if you're a Palestinian, even though you and your family have lived there for the last 4,000 years. It's not interested in your rights. And that's what I object to. And that's all. So
That's
stop
fair.
abide by international law, make certain that everyone living in the Holy Land, that's everything from the River Jordan to the sea, has equal human rights under international law. So if you're a Jewish person, you don't get any more rights than someone who is not. Imagine the United States of America if only Jewish people had rights. Can you imagine the rest of the people? I'm not just talking about Native Americans who would have the biggest beef, but other immigrants who were here would say, are you fucking insane? No. Of course, they would, I can hear all the trolls now going, but God promised Israel to the children of Israel. And also the United Nations granted all the land of Palestine to the Zionist movement in order to create a homeland for the Jews because they'd been murdered by the Germans. No, they didn't, A. But B, what's all this being murdered by the Germans? Do you not remember that? Because you are the fucking Germans now, and you're murdering the Palestinians. Genocide is genocide, whatever your religion and whoever you are. And it's wrong, whoever you are. And that's all. That's my position.
I'm with you.
So is it a Palestinian state? Is that what we're talking about? I mean, what's the...
There's no land left. They've taken it all. They are now de facto occupiers and of the whole of what was historically called Palestine when it was a British mandate and before. So what the answer is, I don't know, but probably, and the only equitable answer that anybody who I read has come up with yet has been one democratic state of all the land that was historic Palestine. So that's the whole of Israel and the West Bank and Gaza, all of it as one democratic state with equal human rights for everybody who lives there, which should include all the refugees who were kicked out. That's what the Geneva Conventions say quite clearly. That's what the law is. That's international law. You can't invade country, kick people out, and not allow them the right to return. Refugees who've lived there for hundreds of generations. It's illegal. It's against all international law. So wouldn't that be great if it happened? But clearly, in order for that to happen, a lot has got to change politically in the United States, because however much Joe Biden may be doing for domestic policy, and it seems on the face of it that he's doing some things to maybe nudge the huge wealth inequality gap that exists in the United States, maybe give the working people of the United States a little bit more clout in terms of negotiating their standards of living. And so maybe it's only a hair, mind you, because he works for the oligarchs, Biden, the whole Democratic Party do. All their money comes from Wall Street and whatever. You only have to look back at recent Democratic Party fundraising.
You're right.
It's just like Republican fundraising.
Yeah.
So whatever. But his foreign policy remains to be seen. Why hasn't he moved the American embassy back to Tel Aviv? Why is it in Jerusalem? It's completely illegal. It's against all the agreements that have ever been made about it. So we will see. Why are you still spending $780 billion a year on making war on brown people for profit? What's that about? Oh, really? It's defense? bollocks. Everybody knows it has nothing to do with defending the United States. It's about what?
About the money.
It's money, yeah. It's the unipolar dominance
Yeah.
of the whole planet. And it's a crazy idea. And it's about time you guys dumped it.
What could I say as another fellow guy in the rock business to people who say, not only about you, but many others, stick to the music, Raj. Don't talk to us about this stuff. We just want to hear you thump your bass and sing a song.
What would you say?
What's the intelligent short response to say to somebody that needs the response, not somebody that's challenging me, but people who are just, they think they heard it somewhere, they read it on social media. Rock stars shouldn't have an opinion.
Come here, I'm just talking.
Hello.
Oh no, on a Zoom thing.
Hi there.
Hey, babe. Danny Zalesko is there with the beard, who you know.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
That's Tim.
I'm Tim.
I'm
Nice to meet you.
so sorry to interrupt, but there's a giant spider in my room.
Yeah.
Is his name
Just going to go and
Boris?
deal with this spider. I'll be back in 2
We'll be
minutes.
right here.
Sorry for interrupting, Jen.
No,
Oh
Get
gosh,
that-
no,
get
that's
that
awesome.
spider.
That is absolutely great.
Raj,
By the way, we need the spider update before we do anything else though.
He's dead.
how's the
Oh,
spider?
it's dead.
A little bit dead. He's a little bit gone down the plug hole, you know?
Can you show us with
He
your
was lying under a fucking, you know, brown blanket on the thing. and
how big?
there it was. He started running about.
How big was it?
Right, it was just a little spider.
Okay.
Now, what were you saying about these people who say, why don't you just mean beans, man? Fuck you! I mean, how dumb is that? You know, it's just so dumb. What the hell is the difference between somebody who pays a bass for a living and a milkman, you know, or a psychiatrist, or a politician, or a whatever? You either have a fucking heart or you don't. Okay, so on this particular question of Israel murdering a whole race of people, i.e. all the Arabs who are not Jewish, and they'll probably get around to the Christians as well, I may say Christian Arabs, who live, you have to try and, what one has to do is sit them down if you can and explain to them, this isn't what, if there is a God, which I don't believe in, but if there was, this is not what God meant. You know, if God is about love, which actually, what's it called? The Talmud, is it? The Jewish, you know, the faith of the Jewish people is well kind of documented. And I'm told, I haven't read it, I haven't read the Bible either, but I haven't read it, but I'm told that it's a very forgiving religion, and it's actually an awful lot about love in it. Well, you need to read that bit, you know.
Yeah.
Let's have some love.
And if any organized religion that ends up thinking that it's about dividing up the spoils and keeping them for yourself and killing anyone who isn't you is fucking wrong. It's wrong in every possible way. I know this is hard, particularly in the United States of America, where the whole country is based on the idea that the immigrants who came in, on the idea that settling and colonizing a country and killing everyone who lived there is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay in the United States. It never was. And so this 400 years of history in the Americas is something that people are going to have to adapt their brains to, getting used to the ideas that it was insane. It was wrong. If we are developing as a species, if Homo sapiens is actually developing in a way that I might approve of. Now, to do that, Homo sapiens would have to be more cooperative with one another. We would have to love people more and look after more people and go, whoa, hold on, brother. We would all have to become good Samaritans. You know, we would all have to cross over to the other side. all day, every day. I go, hey, are you okay? Hey, guys, let's help this person. They need help. And that, if that was the defining condition of us feeling joy, then everything else would go away. So even if we all observed the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from Paris in 1948, all political problems would disappear, all of them, overnight. It's as simple as that, but we don't. We care about profit. So capitalism is a huge blight on all our lives, all of our lives. Terrible, terrible, terrible blight. Unfortunately, it's been accepted and adopted by some of the most powerful countries on earth. And in consequence, we live in a world that's being destroyed hand over fist. Pestilence is everywhere. War and pestilence is everywhere.
Roger,
Is it too late? Maybe it's too late, but maybe it isn't. Maybe if we act collectively, maybe if we all. So that's what I would say to these pricks who would say to me, well, you just play your bass, play the music. Fuck you. I have a heart and I care about people and I care about this planet.
It blows my mind when I do hear that, and thank you for that. I mean, it's perfect. It blows my mind that people don't stop and realize, well, what do you think inspired this song or that song? Did you hear the words at all? Because they're not about Sunshine Superman all the time. No offense to Donovan, I like him, but you know, it's like all the music that I listened to came out of the 60s, basically, and it involved all of this world matters.
Well, hang on a minute. Let's not get too 60s orientated, because God, I wish I could remember more names. Vic Mensa, rap artist.
Yeah.
Vic Mensa, I remembered your fucking name. I'm so glad that I did.
Incredible.
Check him out. He it's one of the few kind of rap songs that I've heard that I really like. And I have developed a sort of an affection and interest in other rap artists, Kendrick Lamar, for instance. But there are people who are actually saying something, who are not Jay-Z and all about fucking bling and Beyonce's ass. They're about something else. Why are you making that funny face?
I just like the way it sounded.
There's nothing wrong with Beyonce's ass.
Oh, nothing.
Thank you. I'm glad we can.
You can all agree on that.
Well, was I Vic Mensa? You listen to his song. I think it's called Freedom, but it might be called something else. He made a video of it, and he made it at the separation barrier, the apartheid wall in Israel.
Wow.
One of the bits where it's round one of the refugee camps or whatever. Yes, if you can find it.
Okay.
Because it's beautiful. You won't find that video because it disappeared, I think. I think his record company got rid of it. I could be wrong about that. But he talks about his mother in it, and he talks about, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm only bringing it up because he's not from the fucking 60s. Kid's about 25 years old. You know, he's a young guy who cares. And there are not millions, but there's many, many of them who are not Katy Perry or all that, you know, or like Poodle Rock. They care about things. They're not Aerosmith or fucking Bon Jovi or these people who are just whatever they are. I mean, they have their place. So do Christmas trees, you know, but I don't want to look at one or listen to one. But there are people, and there's many, many, many of them. And there's a huge number of them beginning to grow out of Black Lives, for instance, Black Lives Matter. There's a big movement now of people protesting the willful militarization of police forces all over the United States. And so, it makes me so happy to see them to see these young people beginning to pick up the cudgels, you know, and go, yeah. And now we're beginning to cooperate one with another as well. There are big connections being made between BDS movement, which is the movement to try and get some human rights back, or all human rights back for the Palestinian people, and Black Lives Matter movement, which is trying to get basic human rights back for Black people, because policemen do kill them. However much bullshit is spouted by some of the people on the right who make speeches about it, even that insane Black lady, I've forgotten her name, but there's a Black woman particularly who's full of gainsaying the notion that it's just as easy for you to be protected by the police and to live a peaceful life and not be in any danger as it is if you're white, and that more white people get killed by the police than Black people, blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. You never hear a white parent going to their child who's wanting to borrow the car and saying, all right, before you go out, make certain your wallet is on the dashboard. Do not ever reach for your pocket. Don't ever try and take your seatbelt off, because these fuckers will kill you. And they're right. They will. So this is 10% of the population of this country. That's 30 million people that are going around telling their kids if they're going to go out and drive in the car, what they have to do to stay alive. And yet these arseholes say it's not true. It is fucking true. And that arsehole who's now in prison, good luck to him, Derek Chavin, whatever his name was, you know,
Yeah.
there he was, 9 minutes, murdering somebody. Thank goodness that young woman had her phone on him for the whole time.
Yeah.
So he couldn't
How do
run.
you dispute that? You can't dispute that.
No, you can't once it's there. But if she'd gone away even for a few minutes, they would have disputed and said, oh, no, he didn't. He kept taking his foot off. Just no,
Yeah.
She was on him the whole fucking time. So this like, I can't remember. I wish I knew more about the law, because I do know this. I mean, I've read Thurgood Marshall's books, and I've watched it, and I've read a bit about the 60s and about Harry Belafonte flying down there with a couple of $100,000 in his back pocket to give the money to finance the movement and whatever. Well, it was dangerous. They were killing you. If you went down there, they killed you if they could. If they could catch you, they killed you. It's been a huge struggle, and it still is. And it still is. And we have to all join in as hard as we can until it stops being a struggle. And one of the ways that we can do that, obviously, is to explain to the fucking morons who say, why don't you just play the fucking bass, right? To explain this, for instance, if we're talking about race, there are no races. We're all one race. Well, we're all Homo sapiens. Yeah, but we're specifically Homo sapiens, except a few of us have got a little bit of Neanderthal in us. But basically, we're one race, and we're all African, all of us. Every single person you meet, whatever country in the world you're in, whether you're in China or Pakistan or India or Africa or the United States or South America or Canada or England or Belgium or wherever you are in the world, whoever you meet, they're Homo sapiens. That is our race. Some of us look different because we spread out all over this planet and we intermarried. You know, so if one of us was darker or whatever, and the climate has a lot to do with it, we're told as well. This is science, if you believe in science. Obviously, if you're an evangelical Christian, you don't believe in science. You think all this started 3,000 years ago. You don't believe in dinosaurs or paleontology or history or any of that, because you're a fucking idiot. Okay, to not believe in science is a hell of a stretch. It's a hell of a stretch. And to believe in it is a bountiful release beyond all of our imagination. I have a friend, Jeffrey Scott Hanks, his name is. Fucking hell, Jeffrey, how did I remember your name? He's a research physicist at CERN, which is the Large Hadron Collider at CERN in Switzerland. It's 14 kilometers round. It's where they throw protons at one another and see what happens and photograph it in real time. Amazing, amazing place. Jeffrey's research doesn't have anything to do. I only know him because he was a rock and roll fan, and me and my missus went to visit there a few years ago. It was fascinating. We went underground and looked at it all and blah blah blah. I only know him because he's a rock and roller. He had a Les Paul and got me to sign it for him. And it was in the back of his car, and he was great. And I went, so what are you doing? And he told me, you know what this? I nearly called him the C word, but he's such a lovely guy. This is what he's doing. This is what he spends his life doing. He wants to know about antimatter. This means nothing to anybody who doesn't know anything about quantum physics, like me from complete base. Fuck you. But what he's trying to do is he's collecting a whole bunch of anti-hydrogen, because there's plus hydrogen and minus hydrogen, and there's plus all matter, which is what we're used to, and there's antimatter. And the quantum scientists believe that there was probably equal amounts of it in the universe when it all started in the Big Bang. But now most of the antimatter is places that we don't know where it is and can't get at it, because antimatter and positive matter can't live in the same space. If it does, it's cataclysmic. What Jeffrey wants to do is collect enough anti-hydrogen so that he can hold it in a magnetic envelope in the middle of a vacuum. And I've seen the piece of kit. It's about 12 feet high and like 1.5 meters across, and it's circular and blah, blah, blah. And it's a complete, absolute perfect. And it has electromagnets all around it to hold this antimatter in a small space in the middle. And this is what he wants to do. And he's not quite there yet. Jeffrey, as far as I understand it, right, I could be getting this all fucking wrong, but all right, in case you're watching, what he wants to do is get it there, be looking at it with every possible observing instrument that you could possibly find in any way like that, and turn the magnets off, because he wants to see if it falls up or down.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
I like it.
I like
Jeffrey,
it.
what is it? Up or down?
Well, he hasn't done it yet.
He's going to do it.
And what's the gravitational significance? Did he tell you? Like,
well, is antimatter subject to gravity, or does it oppose it? Does it go the other way? It's as simple as that. Because it's supposed to be, because it's antimatter, so everything plus is negative. So is it affected by gravity in the same way that you are? Or if we found the antimatter version of you, would you shoot upwards instead of falling to the floor? Yes, it is fascinating. In ways that we, ordinary mortals, and also Danny, who's, can't possibly
one for the tall English
grapple with, can we? But isn't that fucking cool?
It's very cool.
Shall we leave it at that?
Yeah, we could.
I think we've untangled really most of what needs untangling.
I love your
when I've gone, could you apologize to Madonna for me?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we'll take. I'm sure she'll take our call.
Well, should we leave it in there, or should we clip it out?
That's
totally. Fucking leave it in there. No, leave it in there. Okay.
I hope she gets to see it.
Roger, I have one last.
Yeah, come on. One each. Come on. I'll do two more.
But it's not a small question, and it has to do with how humans function. So you talked about the blight of capitalism our
Yeah.
whole structure. I look at a guy like Jeff Bezos, who is the richest or one of the wealthiest men on the planet.
Yeah.
Look, I live a comfortable life. I'm not a billionaire, but I live a comfortable life. What's the drive for humans to be that wealthy? Is it greater happiness? Is it, I mean, and you're a very successful, wealthy man. I mean, is there a correlation? Maybe I just.
Well, I'm not going to answer this question putting me in the same fucking envelope as Jeff Bezos.
No.
He's psychotic. This is a psychotic arsehole who's become very powerful, and because he's worth 160 or 200 billion dollars or whatever he is, he now believes himself to be godlike and inviolate. So he doesn't. So even all the stories that you read and all the films that are made about the people who work for him living these miserable lives, pissing in bottles, you know, and whatever, he believes himself to be above all of that. He doesn't get it at all. It's like they might just as well be lab rats, the rest of us, as far as he's concerned. As far as I can tell, he seems to think it's all right that he doesn't pay taxes. All this shit that Amazon does all over the country, where they go, oh, we're going to build a new Amazon warehouse. You know what? Do you want it in your town? Oh, yes, please. Well, you can't unless you write tax laws so that I don't pay any taxes or whatever.
Like the Super Bowl.
Or whatever. It doesn't, you know, and you go, and you go, whoa, hold on a minute. You have a certain amount of power, not a certain amount, you have a huge amount of power. Why are you keeping it, all the power to you? Well, because I'm fucking God. I want to be God, actually, like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. You know, if you don't want to be God, well, either genuinely offload it. They all say, you know, they all claim that they're offloading it all the time. Gates gets richer and richer and richer and richer. So does Bezos. They all do. Even though they claim they're giving away billions, they never are if you actually look at the figures and see what they're doing, because they believe that they are above the laws, above the law. Well, let me put it this way. Should the laws be about protecting the most vulnerable in our societies? Yes, they should, I believe. All right. They believe they're above that law. Hey, guys, you could make a huge difference to this now. Just the money that is being untaxed lying offshore, because that's the way you run your businesses, could give vaccinations to every human being in the world tomorrow. Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Fuck you. I don't have to. I'm powerful. I can do what I want. Don't you tell me what to do. But they're dying. Look at fucking Brazil now. Or look, I mean, this pandemic is not going away. No. They're now in the third wave in Brazil. Yeah. Look at India now.
Yeah.
They're just about to hit the third wave. This is, nobody in the West has any idea how terrifying this pandemic is to people in the South and Southeast Asia who don't have access to vaccines, who don't have access to the work of the scientists and doctors and blah, 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 who've been doing the work. Why? Well, because Big Pharma owns most of the vaccines and they're not going to give it to anybody who hasn't got money to pay for it, because they're only in it for the profit. That's why. It's really simple. And you think, wow, how short-sighted is this?
Completely.
Well, it's just as short-sighted as we've been since maybe the 16th century, 15th, 16th century, maybe before. Our short-sightedness is something that lives on and that we develop different ways of using. Unfortunately, for all the human beings, every member of Homo sapiens who is living now on this planet, these fuckers are destroying the planet as fast as they can. So my fight that I'm having now, because of my friend Steve Donziger, who's in a fucking ankle bracelet in, you know, on a Upper West Side apartment in New York, because he's a lawyer who represented some indigenous people in Ecuador and fought against Chevron Corporation. They now have him locked up. He's locked up. And Chevron Corporation, who had a legal finding against that corporation for $9.5 billion to go back and make reparations to the people who have then been murdering. Paul Paz in Nino, who runs Amazon Watch, described it as slow motion mass murder. And they're dying. These people are now dying because they dumped billions and billions and billions of gallons of toxic waste where they live, in their back garden, in the Amazon rainforest. They just dumped it there. And occasionally I have to correct people occasionally, because they say, now tell me about this oil spill in Ecuador. It's no fucking spill. They didn't spill anything. It wasn't, whoops, I spilt some. They dumped it. Thousands, millions of gallons a day, destroyed the country and left. And my friend is under house arrest on the Upper West Side of New York because he defended them.
How is that possible?
Well, because your legal system in the United States of America is fucked. That's how. And federal judges have huge latitude. And they're in a situation, and they're appointed for life. They cannot be fired, and they're in a completely inviolate position. I mean, luckily, in Steve's camp, we now, I include myself in that piece of activism as well. We now are gathering steam. We have 50 Nobel laureates have all signed on to support him. Hundreds and hundreds of associations of lawyers from all over the world who are going, what the fuck are you doing? This is nonsense. Well, it's not nonsense as far as Chevron are concerned, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Jeff Bezos, or Bill Gates, or any of the fucking oligarchs who actually own this country and run it for their own personal benefit. They think it's great, and so does Chevron and their shareholders. They think it's great. They think, well, of course we're going to protect our money. What else would you do? Well, hang on. The plaintiffs, there's 30,000 of them. They've all got mums and dads and fucking cousins with cancer because of what you did. What do you mean? Why are you fighting them? Why aren't you falling over yourselves? It's a tiny sum of money to you. It's 9.5 billion. BP in the Gulf, and it was accidental, you know, it was an accidental oil spill, but BP happened to hold that thing, right, in the Gulf. They didn't pay up 9.5 billion. They paid like 80 billion or something, or 150 billion without even being asked, because they're accountable. Ecuadorian rainforest people, fuck them. That's the attitude, and it makes me sick. So that's why I don't just play the music, you fucking prick.
There's a great documentary, isn't there, Roger, that covered this story?
There's a Vice documentary that's well worth seeing. Look, I just got an email from Steve right now. I don't know what it is. I can't read without my countdown. 14 days and still Stephen faces off against Chevron's private criminal prosecution on the May the 10th trial. Blah, blah, blah. We need your help. Donate.
Is there
Well, why don't you donate? I fucking am. Trust me.
Where do they donate?
Yeah, where do we go for that?
Well, hang on. Let me tell you where they go. They donate. Well, just if you pull up Free Donziger, you will find out where to donate. Just if you've got a computer
below.
Yeah. What? I can't see where it is. It's called for, this is paid for by the Donziger Defense Fund. I promise you, if you've got a computer and you put in Donziger and say, you will get this fund come up.
We'll roll that on the bottom and
Okay, that would be good.
So I didn't completely get to finish my question before I wound you up. And here was the only comparison I was making in terms of having wealth. You are an activist, you are somebody who's making a difference in the world. And like, at what point does somebody go, off on the money equals power, happiness thing? And is there any correlation between money and happiness? That's really the big question.
Well, I know where I went off, if you want to know.
Well, yeah, because I want to.
Dark Side of the Moon. I can remember sitting down with a friend after Dark Side of the Moon and him going, "What are you going to do now?" Right?
Yeah.
Because I could see this thing was selling. We were selling lots and lots of it. You're going to have money. What you're going to do? Well, the first thing I did was I started a fund, which I've had ever since, where income goes into the fund, and I do stuff with it. But you either care about these things or you don't. What am I doing now that I'm nearing the end of my life? I'm making fucking sure I get rid of it all and that it goes into places where it can be used before I fucking die. So I have no intention of starting a dynasty or becoming powerful or having a foundation. I promise you, I'm getting rid of it hand over fist. But let me say this, and maybe this is a flaw, but I actually enjoy the power of being able to give people money to do something. So if somebody
that sounds a little more altruistic than a flaw.
Well, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely is.
So is there a correlation between money and happiness?
Well, no, obviously not, because we all know people who've got fuck all who are really happy, and we all know people who've got enormous amounts of money who are really unhappy. So the answer is no. But I will say this: I suspect that it's very hard to be really happy unless your basic human rights are observed and needed. It's hard to be happy if somebody's fucking bombing you to death, or if your kids are hungry. If you're a Yemeni and your kids are dying of starvation, I would suggest that to strive to be happy under those circumstances would be really difficult. So we all have to act collectively to get everybody in the family of man, all our brothers and sisters, irrespective of who they are or where they are or whatever, bring them in under the umbrella of liberty, life, food, shelter. Once we've done that, let's worry about the rest of it. But I bet you a lot of them will be fucking happy then.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
All right, guys.
I want to share this with my friends and people who love music and you, because music and you are the conduit to getting these ideas across. And it's really important that people hear this. I mean, I've never heard you say it quite the way you did today. And I really thank you for it, because it helped me in what I heard. I mean,
all right,
besides the fact you're a cunt.
All right, Danny.
No, but I love you, man. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And I look forward to sharing this with people.
All right. Well, I love you too.
Thank you, brother.
Roger, it's an honor to spend a few minutes with you.
Okay, it's been fun. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm going to leave. Is that okay, Danny?
Cheers.
Love you, brother. Yeah.
Thank you. Love you back.
Thank you.
That's all. Cheers.
Peace.
Leaving now. Boom.
All Excess with Danny Zalesko and Tim Richards.